Welcome to In Our Mom's Basement Video Game Podcast, where we talk about everything video games with your host, Dan Giofue and Rage Quit Pat.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 67 on In Our Mom's Basement Video Game Podcast. I am your host, Rage Quit Pat. Normally, I am joined by Dan the Pizza Man, but Dan the Pizza Man is dealing with some power issues over where he's at. They're having a bad storm, so tonight I'll be running it solo, but I am not alone, guys. So tonight on episode 67, we have a special guest joining us here today, and we are going to introduce that guest here. One moment, Yep, I hear the knock on the door. Our mom is knocking on the door, so our guest is here. So our guest is a variety streamer who started streaming briefly on YouTube before calling Mixer home for almost 3 years. Been streaming on Twitch for over a year now, focusing primarily on single-player RPG experiences while also throwing in a bit of everything. Proudly dubbed the best hair on Twitch from myself. Everyone, please, let's introduce CryptoHelix. What is going on, my friend? How are you doing?
What's going on, guys? How's it going, Pat?
It's going good, man. Happy to have you here at the Gamer Cave. Welcome to the Gamer Cave. And, of course, guys, you can listen to this episode on all podcast platforms. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Pandora. Also, if you go to innermomsbasement.com, we have the podcast on our website as well. And we also have some cool merch and stuff like that. So, Crypto, how are you doing, my friend? Just want to get it off with the first question here. When you were younger, when did you get into gaming? When was younger Crypto? When did you get into video games?
Ooh, I think my first system that I remember was Nintendo 64. But I remember my dad playing games too and just watching him play games. I thought it was like the coolest thing. He'd always give me like a controller to play alongside him. I don't think I was ever actually playing. I liked watching him play like hockey games and stuff. That was super cool. But the first system I remember owning was Nintendo 64, Doom, Mario, games along those lines. And then I got a Game Boy with Pokemon, and that kind of just changed my life.
Awesome systems. I was really a huge fan of, me for the N64, Mario 64, of course, GoldenEye, Mario Party. Were you a Mario Party guy?
We played from time to time, but I never played a ton of that. I played that more when I was older than when I was a kid.
So you did enjoy testing your friendships playing that game, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's one way, if you want to figure out if someone's really, truly friends with you, you play that game.
That or Monopoly.
Oh, Monopoly, my God. I got my Mrs. Rage Quit and I, we played with her little brother, and he kicked our ass in that game we only played for like 2 hours. That was like the shortest Monopoly game I've ever played in my life.
I was going to say, that's a quick game.
Yeah,
you'll have to teach me a thing or two how you guys play.
He pretty much bought all the properties and smoked us. There was really nothing more we could do. Yeah, it was pretty wild. I wanted to ask another question as well. You're talking about when you got into streaming, you started out on YouTube. So did you start on YouTube, or did you start out on Twitch before that?
I started on YouTube, and it was actually kind of like the spur of the moment deal. It was like 2017. My buddy had started watching YouTube streamers play maybe some Call of Duty, I want to think. Streaming could be like a really big thing. That was when streaming really kicked up a notch, when people were starting to find a lot of success and making it a viable source of income and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I like games. I don't really watch streamers, but hell, we'll try it out. And so I started on YouTube just because that's where my buddies suggested, and then I made the Twitter, and through networking and stuff we found out about Mixer, and then we both moved over there. And yeah, Mixer was our home for almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah, we did Mixer too for a little while, and we're almost at almost a year in where Mixer closed its doors. I wanted to ask you, and I don't like to really kind of dwell on the past, were you kind of surprised of the Mixer closing, or were you kind of not surprised?
So I actually moved from Mixer to Twitch about 6 months before it closed, just because I had a bad feeling about the direction Mixer was going. And the games I like to play, more like variety games, I feel like there's a better audience for those kind of games in my kind of content style on Twitch. It felt like Mixer viewers didn't really go to Mixer to watch like specific genres. Like if you want to go to watch a League of Legends streamer, for example, you're going to want to go to Twitch. Like Twitch has the viewer equity. And with the games I played, like I want to talk to people about Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, and those type of people just weren't on Mixer for me. So that's ultimately why I switched. I just had a bad feeling about the future of Mixer, and I thought, maybe it's better to get ahead of the curve and and be on Twitch. So I don't know that I saw it closing per se. I just didn't have a good gut feeling.
I feel you on that one. When we switched over to Mixer twice, actually, believe it or not, and we thought that maybe our content would provide Mixer something that wasn't there, which was podcasting. And the only podcast I remember seeing on Mixer was the actual Mixer podcast. So we felt that maybe podcasting would, kind of not explode, but like bring Mixer something that is kind of not there, and we understood that. But for me, I feel you, man, with the variety streaming and everything like that, it wasn't there for me. Like I would stream I remember I streamed Resident Evil over there, and maybe the last day I streamed Resident Evil when I was about to beat it, that's when I got an audience on there. So I feel you on that one, man. And I wanted to ask you, too, what do you think about these other streaming platforms like Facebook Gaming, YouTube, of course? I think there's Glimish. Glimish is the newest one that popped in. I just kind of wanted to ask you what your thoughts about those streaming platforms.
Yeah, I think YouTube is making a lot of good waves. I think if any of those platforms stand a chance, it's going to be YouTube. Obviously, they're the greatest content creation site around right now. I mean, they have such a hold in that space. And then with them adding, streaming to their repertoire and focusing on that in the past year, signing people, Courage and Valkyrie and, all these other top tier content creators, Doc.
Doc pretty much forcefully kind of went over there. Yeah, that's
a situation in and of itself.
Yeah.
To go down. But yeah, I think YouTube definitely stands a chance. I think Glimish will probably meet the same fate as Mixer. That's just me personally. I mean, if a company with Microsoft backing them couldn't do it, I don't know what anyone else could possibly bring to the table, Facebook might be around for a while, but I don't think people want to go to Facebook to watch stuff like that.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you as well. We tried Facebook Gaming as well, and it was just kind of driving me crazy that my favorite audience member was my mother. So I, didn't really enjoy that too much.
Get the grandma on there.
Yeah, right. My mom would pop in majority of the time. My family, I'm like, geez, is this what Facebook Gaming's all about? But yeah, then we tried YouTube as well, but I felt like YouTube, you kind of already needed to have some type of subscriber base and audience for it to kind of work on YouTube. And at this point, I'm just rolling with Twitch. We'll kind of see where it goes. Is that the same feeling for you? Just kind of rolling with Twitch?
Yeah, I think so. Until something else changes in the industry and then something else is available in their given space, I think Twitch is still the gold standard for watching live content, specifically around gaming, which is what I do. So for now, until something changes, I don't see a reason for me to look elsewhere.
Yeah, and I thought about Glimish. I looked into Glimish a little bit too, and I kind of looked at that website, but it just, I don't know. It's in alpha right now, so I don't know how that's going to work.
I've been there a few times. It's definitely in some early stages, but I mean, some people are into it. I don't know. In all fairness, what new they're bringing to the table. I know their key thing is like discoverability. So
that was Mixer too.
What's that?
I said that was Mixer too, wasn't it? Discoverability.
Yeah, I think so. But I think with Glimish's thing is they don't sort streams by view count, and that's kind of their way to combat that.
That makes sense.
I don't know what they're sorted by, if it's just random, whatever, but in Twitch you go to directory, it defaults to view or sort from highest view count to lowest, so you're starting with the top streamers, and then you gotta scroll down to find the smaller guys. Well, that's not there on Glimish. It's all just kind of random, so everyone has a fair shot, more or less.
Yeah, just give me one moment to delete the browser source here so the alerts don't go off anymore, and then I'll just put them back on. We'll just edit this part out of the podcast. You're talking about variety streaming. You're a variety streamer. What are some of the type of games that you do stream?
Yeah, so we just finished Horizon Zero Dawn base game last night, actually, which was very good. It's taken me, a couple of years now to finally work through it, but I'm happy I did. So those are kind of the single-player RPGs I'll play. God of War, Kingdom Hearts, all the Final Fantasy games, those lines, and then we'll throw in the Call of Duty every once in a while. Some multiplayer survival games, Raft, Ark, Satisfactory. Any builder sim games we've thrown in there. I really hit it all, man.
And I also noticed that you have been playing Marvel Avengers as well. Are you excited about the Black Panther announcement?
Yeah, we kind of knew that was coming. I'm a big fan of the Marvel game. I know a lot of people potentially rightfully dislike it. It had a really rough start, but I think it's a really good game. I think they have a big roadmap that they can create, just with that IP alone. So Black Panther was a big announcement. It's scheduled for later this year. Hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. It looks like there's going to be a lot of big updates with that one. So that game needs to push out new content as soon as they can in order to kind of stay alive here.
Do you think that game had kind of took the Destiny kind of fault where when it first came out it was really faulty and just wasn't a lot of content, and then as time goes on it'll get better? Do you feel that's the route that Marvel's Avengers is going to go?
Yeah, I think that's the only route they have at this point. They, especially the first couple weeks of release, their game was very buggy, wasn't optimized very well, it ran poorly, across everything, PCs, consoles. It was almost impossible to play, I've heard. So they had that going against them. And then kind of like you said, lack of content. It's more or less the lack of like an end game loop and the grind. So there's a couple end game things you can do in terms of like quests and stuff to grind to get gear, but there's not a ton, and really the grind isn't worthwhile. So in I'm going to call it a looter shooter game like that, that grind is what keeps people playing. So if there's not a meaningful grind, people aren't going to want to grind, and they're not going to play.
Yeah.
So I think what you said is their only option, right? They have to iterate and make it better because, what they provided up front wasn't good enough.
Any games you're looking forward to? I know it's pretty light with gaming this year, obviously because of COVID and everything like that, but any games you're kind of looking forward to?
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts 3 actually comes out on PC the 31st of March. So being a big Kingdom Hearts fan, I'm looking forward to that. I know it's not new, but having that on PC will be really cool. As far as new releases, we got Outriders in April, the new Ratchet & Clank, Resident Evil 8, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade will also be coming out in July 10th, I think.
Yeah, I believe so, right on there.
Yeah, so that's 5 titles, or 4 or 5 titles I'm really looking forward to over the coming months.
Yeah, Resident Evil's definitely on my list. I know we talked about it off stream before we got on the podcast, but Mass Effect I definitely think you should try. You're talking about RPGs and stuff like that. I think now's the perfect time to get into the series with the Legendary Edition coming out and all the DLC, so you don't have to worry about buying DLC or anything like that. It'll all be there, and I highly recommend it. I think you would really enjoy that game.
Yeah, I've had a good handful of people tell me now that, that's something I need to play when they come out, especially with, the remasters and whatnot. It's a perfect time. So if I can squeeze that in, I think they come out, is it May?
Yes, May. Yep. I think a week or two after Resident Evil.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll give me some time between, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Resident Evil to hop into one, if not 2 of those. But yeah, I do plan on doing that.
Yeah, it's like I said, definitely an awesome game. I highly recommend it. Tons and tons of hours, tons of content. It's worth it. It's a really well put together game. I don't think we ever asked this to any of our guests, and I kind of wanted to ask this. When you first started streaming, what was kind of your setup? Did you have like the older PC? Like, what was your first setup when you started streaming?
I had a pretty mid-range PC at the time, so I think this PC was built in 2016. So I think I had an i5 6600K, maybe a 970 graphics card at that time. So pretty mid-range for a PC. Nothing crazy by any means. But at my first couple streams, I didn't have a webcam. Then I bought a webcam. No green screen. And then shortly after, I adopted the green screen and kind of just iterated upon my gear and stuff.
Is there something that you did back then that you wish you never did, but you kind of learned from that experience as far as streaming goes?
There's probably a good handful of things in terms of streaming. I think the one thing I wish I would go back and do would be to not follow all those people on Twitter that I did. I don't know if you did that. When I started and created my Twitter page for like streamers, I went through and like followed and searched like everyone suggested in that space. So I just followed all these people, and that was just a terrible idea. I would go back and stop myself from doing that.
Yeah, one of the terrible ideas that we did back then was, I don't know if you ever fell into this, but I fell into the retweet Twitter pages, and I thinking that would bring us an audience in some way. So when we would literally post on Twitter, we would have the retweets also, like tag them, because they would retweet you. It was like a bot that automatically retweet you. I think it only worked once ever, and we did it for Mixer, we did it for Twitch, And it worked for Mixer, surprisingly. Someone was like, oh, I noticed you on the retweet thing. I thought I'd come and check it out. So, but yeah.
I didn't get big into that. It was more or less just like some of the people I had followed, I didn't notice at the time, but like as I kind of matured and got more settled into the space, just some of the stuff that they would actually talk about and stuff, I was like, why am I following these people? Like, why did I do all this?
And it was kind of
mistake.
Kind of funny too when we first reached out for like podcast guests. And I know you know the man. Our first ever guest was Hoosier Boy.
Oh, yeah.
I literally was at work, and I was just mass emailing mad people, majority Mixer people. And Hoosier answered, and like 2 other people answered. This one person flipped out on me and said, well, you don't watch my stream, so I'm not coming out. I was like, okay. I would have taken a simple no. But Hoosier responded, and we have Hoosier, and then meeting Hoosier, I got to meet you as well, so that's been great as well. I know you guys are next door neighbors. You know, how's that?
Yeah, Hoosier's a great guy, man. He was the first community I got really intertwined with. I became a mod in the stream and got really close with him and all the guys. Yeah, it was a good journey for us. We've known each other a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2 years, really. I
popped into his stream in 2018, so it's really crazy to think that's what 4 years ago at this point. 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's pretty
3 years. Yeah.
It's pretty insane that you meet someone on stream, you meet someone streaming, and it kind of, and you've known them for this long. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's kind of what it's about, though, for me. You know, meeting people who share the same interests. You know, talking about stuff, getting to know them. You know, that's kind of why I did the whole streaming thing, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Is that your kind of your way of streaming? You just you want to meet people that like the same games that you do, and you kind of just want to talk and meet communities? Or is it, I know I'm sure a partner is like the ultimate goal, but is it more like a little bit of a, you kind of go with the mindset of a hobby kind of?
Yeah, I'm more along the hobby mindset. Like, partner would be cool, but at the end of the day, like, this isn't gonna, I mean, until it does, obviously, but this isn't gonna replace my job. Like, it, yeah. Maybe the stars align in the next year, and you know, I do end up, you know, doing really well, and you could see this going full time. But that's just not something I'm really attaining to do. So I really just keep it a hobby. I mean, I can commit 12 hours a week to maybe streaming a few days a week. But yeah, you know, like I said, I just like talking to people, hanging out, talking about games, you know, meeting new folks, sharing our interests. It's been a lot of fun. It's
tough too, especially when, I don't know if you knew this when you first went into streaming, how much networking you have to do. You know, the YouTube, the Twitter, Instagram, now there's TikTok, so there's just so much networking that you have to do. It's like you have to pretty much, there's one streamer I know that does this for like 17 hours, like it's crazy how much networking you have to do. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I think I would probably go about that differently too. Network a little more efficiently. Maybe start on YouTube earlier and start posting videos on Twitter earlier. But you know, like I said, at the end of the day, it's just a hobby for me. I know I could be doing stuff more and better if I want to like grow to a bigger audience. But you know, I'm not doing it for that. So.
Yeah, no, it's also straining. I don't know if you've ever had streamer burnout before, but it could be straining and stressful at times too. Has ever happened to you where you maybe kind of just got burnt out and were like, you know, I need to take a break?
Yeah, it feels like about once a year. Just nothing feels right. There's no new games coming out. I don't really know what to do, what to play. So I end up just like canceling streams for a week. Ad hoc, of course. I don't do it a week in advance. I'm not that smart. But I'll just like cancel streams. I'll end up playing like some modded Minecraft and just like do some stuff on there. Something just like super like easy and chill and I don't have to think too hard. But yeah, like I swear, like clockwork, once a year. Maybe twice a year, but you know, you just get burnt out. Especially if, you know, you got a full-time job, a family, stuff to do IRL. It's pretty taxing to do it all.
Yeah, there was one point in time, was there like, did you ever have, like your stream schedule now, you stream 3 days a week? Is that what it is, roughly? Was there a time where you pushed yourself too far and you streamed maybe...
Say that again?
I'm sorry. Did you ever push yourself too far where you streamed more than you should have, like maybe 5 days a week, or you streamed for 6 hours rather than your normal hours?
Yeah, so definitely the days of the week. So I usually, probably when I started out, I was, you know, 4 or 5 days a week, probably trying to do 5. And going at least, you know, 3 or 4 hours. It was always hard for me to actually stream for a long period of time. I think the longest stream I've done is like 6 hours, and I was like dead. It's tough for me to like talk that much. I'm kind of naturally like an introvert, which is super weird that I stream, but it's tough for me to like talk that long.
I think streaming has kind of opened up introverts a little bit, kind of break them out of their shell, kind of. Do you feel that way? Did that feel like you kind of broke out of your shell a little bit? I'm extrovert, so, I try to be like a talker, like a madman sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that was right around the time when I was kind of getting my footing in work and kind of, trying to stand out a little bit. And I remember I just, even, talking in meetings, used to kind of freak me out a little bit and, giving presentations and stuff. But, kind of when I started streaming, those jitters kind of went away. So it's definitely helped me a little bit in that aspect.
So tell us about your community, your Discord, some of the things that you do in your Discord. You have some community nights. I know you and your community watched WandaVision. So are you guys going to be doing the same thing for maybe Captain Marvel and Winter Soldier? I mean, Captain Marvel, Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier. What are some of the other things you like to do with your community?
Yeah, so we'll do movie nights. We definitely, without a doubt, no questions, link up all of our Disney Plus streams at the same time, and we all hit play. So we totally do it the legal way there. Other than that, we'll play Call of Duty pretty frequently. Just hop in the Discord and just squat up and play some COD multiplayer. Usually never too much Warzone or anything. Usually just multiplayer. So Rocket League. I mean, someone's usually always in a Discord hanging out playing some games, which is kind of really cool that we've built that.
So I could be joining you guys very soon on Black Ops. I actually picked it up for Xbox. It's crossplay, right?
Yep, it's crossplay.
Yep, so I could be joining you guys because I finally picked up Black Ops Cold War. I used my GameStop gift card that I had, so I could be joining you guys now. Or maybe you guys will join me for happy hour. That sounds very good.
I do need to do that one of these days. You guys jump around with what games you play, right? So I know you play Warzone frequently, but sometimes it's more than Warzone?
Yeah, so it started out originally Fall Guys. That's what I originally started out with, was Fall Guys Happy Hour. And I was just like, I can't play this game for this long, even when I'm drinking. It's just, I can't do it. And I just commend the other streamers that can do it for 6 hours at a time, every day. It's insane. Insane how they could literally do it every day for 6 hours. If I'm playing the same game every single day for 6 hours, it's not a multiplayer game.
Yeah, Fall Guys got a little stale for me too. It was fun to be a part of it. Its launch was kind of crazy. I mean, it really stormed the streaming and gaming world, which is a really big accomplishment in and of itself. But I really felt the same way. I could play it for about an hour, and then after that, I'm just like, okay, this is kind of rinse and repeat. I need something else. I need to change a pace. Yeah,
that's just got my feeling. And with Battle Royales, I don't enjoy them. I really don't, actually. I'm not a big fan of the genre. I don't know how you feel about that. You said you don't really play Warzone that much, so I'm guessing that you're not a big fan of the BR genre that much either.
Yeah, I'll get an itch every once in a while. So when I started streaming, I actually played PUBG on stream.
That was a good one, though. I actually was a big fan of PUBG when it worked.
Yeah, I mean, it changed the game, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't the first game to have a BR, but whatever they did was, really good at that time, and everyone loved it. So that's what all my friends would play at that time. It was right when it was big. I think to this day, I still have my second or third most played game is PUBG.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just checked. It's my third most played game. But I'll play Apex every once in a while. Mage Quit was fun. That's a BR in and of itself. But never really Warzone. I don't know what it is. I'm just not that competitive of a gamer, too. And I feel like with those games, you kind of got to be a little competitive to stand out.
Yeah, it gets very toxic at times, too.
Yeah, I will say Final Fantasy is coming out with its own version of a BR later this year.
Are you excited?
I don't know. It's definitely, it came out of left field for me. It's going to be mobile only, which will also be pretty interesting. I'll definitely play it and see how it works out.
It's just interesting how crazy that genre has become, and I think we've been talking about it for years in our podcast that, there was that time period where zombies were the thing. Remember, there was an influx of zombie games, and that was the cool thing to do, and you have a zombie mode in your game. Then it's pretty much Battle Royale. Even these random games are just having random Battle Royales in it that, maybe we don't even need in the game, but they're just trying to get into that market and test it out and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's a pretty big market, and a lot of people find it pretty easy to capitalize on, I guess. And people want to play them. They're a fan of it. I don't know what it is, but it's well liked across the industry.
Do you think it's just because the games just go so quick? A game could either be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes at most. You're looking at maybe a game for a half hour roughly. Do you think it's just because of that, like how quick the pace of the game is?
That could be, but I feel like if like you're going for something like that, then like I look at games like Rocket League where you're going like 7 minutes on average. Like you can knock out games of Rocket League in an hour like it's nothing, whereas a BR you could maybe get in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So they can definitely go the distance if you're if you're good. I'm not entirely sure what it is.
Yeah, it's just
maybe it's like addicting. It's addicting to find like the best loot and to destroy people. I don't know.
I just like to get drunk and play them, really, to be honest. That's the only time I've really enjoyed them. And the thing with Happy Hour too, originally it just started with me, and now other streamers have been coming on, and other people are part of the community. So I would love, for your community, for you, and for you guys to be a part of it one day. Like I said, I've introduced a bunch of different games. It went from Fall Guys to Warzone. Now there's we have Rainbow Six Siege. Now we're bringing in Zombies Happy Hour. So, we're trying to bring in more games for the Happy Hour. And like I said, I want to get more people involved in it because, like I said, it just started with me, and then I got more streamers involved, and it's just been an awesome and fun experience.
Yeah, do you guys ever do, I've seen you play Pummel Party a few times. Is that ever during Happy Hour, or is that kind of just a different night?
See, that's a good idea. Dan the Pizza Man, I believe, is in the chat. I think that might be doable. But I do enjoy Pummel Party. Do you have Pummel Party?
I do have Pummel Party.
Well, then maybe you could join us for a Pummel Party Happy Hour. Or just a regular night. We like Pummel Party. Right now, we just haven't been streaming it because of Star Wars and stuff like that. But yeah, we're always down to play Pummel Party. I really enjoy that game. It's a lot of fun. I love the adult Mario Party style.
Right. It's actually a relatively new game to me. I think I've only played 3 or so games of it, but it's a good game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and especially like the items that you get and attacking your friends and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. The mini games are cool. Are you a horror game guy? Or is there any horror games you stream at all?
Primarily just Resident Evil. Anything like more scary than that, I'm kind of like I'm a big baby. I'm kind of not about horror movies. I don't do it. I'm not doing
wow, man! So are you ready for Resident Evil Village? Like what are you excited about Resident Evil Village? I
am ready for Resident Evil Village. I'm actually a big Resident Evil fan. Those to me are as scary as they are like suspenseful and action-packed, But yeah, big fan of that. I've watched all the movies, played all the games.
The movies, sadly, the movies, right? The movies.
Hey, the movies started out pretty cool. And then maybe I just got older and realized how weird they were and out of place. But they definitely fell off a little bit. But it's still a cool, IP, if anything.
And I'm glad that you said that because I want to get into a Resident Evil conversation here. Which are some of your your favorite Resident Evil games?
So the most iconic one for me was 2.
Yeah.
I remember, this is kind of a callback to what I said earlier. I remember watching my dad play Resident Evil 2. And me like trying to. I was on his PlayStation 1. No, I was a kid. I was terrible. I remember him having to come and like help me out all the time.
Oh, those puzzles, man.
Yeah. And then I just end up like watching him play, and that was like the coolest thing for me. So that's probably the most, iconic Resident Evil for me. Has a special place in there. Other than that, 4 was really, really, really good. I put a lot of time in 4. 7 was great. I think 7 was a direction-changing game.
Yeah.
For the franchise, and you see 8 kind of adopting a lot of the same style that 7 did. So.
I'm just curious to see where the story's going. Like it says in the synopsis, Chris kills Mia and kidnaps the kid. So I'm really curious to see where the direction's going with Chris and like everything else.
So I think there's actually DLC to Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, he goes after.
You go over that.
Huh.
Like I'm guessing that's what you play as. I could be wrong. I've never played the DLC.
No, you're right. There was free DLC. You play as Chris, and you go after the brother. Mrs. Rage Quit actually played it. I didn't even play it. We did a YouTube segment where she played it, and it looked pretty fun. It was more action-ish than the regular Resident Evil 7, but you pretty much go after the brother. It takes place after Resident Evil 7.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll have to check that out before, or at least catch up on the story before 8 comes out, because I just saw something about that last week too, and it reminded me that there was a DLC.
And going back to the Resident Evil 2, the remake, I love the original one. That again was one of my favorite probably one of my favorite games of all time, but now I have the remake outdoing the original. Like, that's how a remake should be made. Like, it was phenomenal, that remake. Did you have the same feeling on the remake?
I think they were both really good, both 2 and 3. I think I liked 2 more than 3. 3 felt really short to me.
It was very short.
Like really short. I mean, I guess Resident Evil 7 was also short if you wanted to, you know, just kind of speed run it. But 2, I remember I got to a part in 2 where it was like super hard for me. And, like, I had like no mats, and by mats I mean like resources or ammo or anything. But yeah, I mean, I think they were both really good. I enjoyed them both. I just wish 3 was longer, if anything.
And I felt 3, the Nemesis wasn't as menacing as it was in the original Resident Evil 3. I felt besides when in the beginning when he chased you, but after that I felt it was just so scripted when the Nemesis would show up. I just felt that he wasn't like the menace that I remember him being in the original Resident Evil 3 for PlayStation 1.
I'll tell you what, he gave me a couple jump scares still. There was a couple times I remember audibly screaming on stream about him jumping out at me. So yeah, I don't know that I had that same experience as you, but I can see it.
It's a great franchise, though. It's a great IP. So, and like you mentioned, Resident Evil 7 pretty much changed the direction. I think it actually saved the series because it was going in a bad place very quickly with the last couple games they were coming out with. After Resident Evil 5, we got Operation Raccoon City, which was a disaster. They had the Umbrella Corps game where they tried to get into esports, and that was a disaster. Then, you know, Resident Evil 6, which was a freaking like a Michael Bay action movie. Which, listen, I don't mind Michael Bay action movies, but that felt like I was playing a Michael Bay movie. But
I don't know that I actually played 6 because I didn't like 5 that much. I'm actually looking it up now. I don't think I played through 6.
Well,
I think I actually skipped that one.
Yeah, well, you're fine. You're not missing much. I mean, Leon's campaign is probably the only one that's kind of true to the survival horror roots a little bit. But then when you get to Chris and when you get into the other game modes, it just gets bad, man. Like I said, it's just explosions, and it's like, this isn't Resident Evil. Like, what is this?
Yeah, just a weird direction. Well, at least they changed it around. I mean, I had a lot of fun with 7. That was a great one, and I really look forward to Village.
I'm anticipating Village 2 with the vampires, it looks like, and werewolves, and it seems like they're going more towards the supernatural. Like, do you feel that they're going kind of moving on from zombies? Like in 7, it kind of felt like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and these people were possessed, basically. So do you feel like that's the kind of direction we're going to see other horror elements introduced besides, you know, virus infection and them turning into zombies?
Yeah, you definitely kind of get that vibe. I don't actually have no idea what they're going to do with the story, and I'm pretty excited to find out. I mean, that vampire lady is like 9 feet tall or something.
Yeah,
it's like, just massive, huge. I need answers. I need answers now.
Yeah, talk about a menacing villain as well. 9-foot tall vampire. Like, what is happening? And then those other vampires that are along with her, they like this seem like side bosses. It's gonna be insane. I want to ask you too. What do you think of the multiplayer that they're introduced? What did you think of the I think it was Resident Evil Reverb or something like that. What do you think about that?
I didn't actually play that. I heard about it though, and I never actually checked it out.
So it looks interesting, and it's kind of funny. You know, Resident Evil has been trying to get into the multiplayer. That's one way or another. Obviously, with Operation Raccoon City, they tried to get into the co-op multiplayer and PvP with that game. Didn't work out. Then they got, actually, Resident Evil 5 had multiplayer. It was awful. So I wouldn't recommend even. I remember I played that. It was dreadful. Then they had like a horde mode style multiplayer, which was pretty cool. But this one, it's basically all the Resident Evil characters, and it seems interesting. I hope, you know, I don't mind Resident Evil trying to get into the multiplayer market, but I want them to succeed. You know, they did it with 3. Did you try that multiplayer with Resident Evil 3?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you're not missing much again. It's fun for a little bit, maybe like a couple hours, and then you're just kind of like, just move on back to something else.
Yeah, I looked up. It's Resident Evil Reverse. I totally remember it now that I saw the website. I don't know how it'll go over. I mean, I feel like those are always like really gimmicky things to add.
Yeah.
They're cool because they're kind of new. They don't really stand out. Something else to do in that, IP space. But I mean, it looks kind of cool. It's definitely worth it. Something to try out at least,
Absolutely. I want to ask a question here. Why did you get rid of the hair? What happened? Why did you get rid of the spike? And are you bringing the spike back?
The spike will be coming back probably pretty soon. I don't know. I feel like I've had the same hair for a few years. And I just felt like growing it out to see what it would do. And my wife is not very happy with it, so it will not be staying too long.
So it's good. The spike, okay, good. Because I was a big fan of the spike. That's what kind of drew me into the stream, was the kind of the cartoon version of you holding the key. And then I actually went into your stream and you had the spike. You actually had the spike.
Yeah. I actually had an artist make the avatar for me based on how I look. So I sent her a bunch of pictures, and she commissioned her for that. And she did a really good job. I actually loved how it turned out.
Yeah, definitely came out really nice. And like I said, to see it actually, that's also you in IRL, so that's even better too. So I know some people
absolutely.
get like art, and it's just a picture of them, but it's not like actually how they look IRL.
Right. And it's Kingdom Hearts themed, which a few people might be able to tell.
Yeah, the key. I recognize the key from. That's how I kind of figured it was like a Final Fantasy-ish Kingdom Hearts style.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you deal with a lot of trolls when you're streaming? Do you get a lot of trolls mostly, or you kind of hold it down?
They're pretty few and far in between. The worst I deal with are like those wanna buy follow bots.
Oh yeah.
That come in and auto spam.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I actually had to like ban someone from trolling. I'll usually like play along for a bit because they're usually just trying to like have fun and entertain themselves. So I'll play into it a little bit if they're there like saying some weird shit. But it's never like too bad.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the Mixer days, or did this ever happen to you where they would ask you if you're playing on Xbox and if they could join you as well?
Yeah, that was a thing. That was a big thing. Can I play? Can I join?
Hi.
Right.
It was always
Envy.
It was always hi. You're my favorite streamer. Is this for Xbox? Can I play? And if you said yes, and they'd be like, "Can I play?"
And then they just like wouldn't join.
Yeah, no, that was a bad practice we did back then too. That's another bad practice that we did, where on the Mixer days, to try to gain a following, we would have open lobbies, and people obviously would be like playing with followers. So obviously it's not a good practice. I'm not condoning it, and I don't condone it now. But we play with followers, and we'd have a lot of viewership, but those viewers don't come back. We realized that wasn't the right way to build a community. These people are just here to just say, well, I played with the streamer. So, that was one of the bad practices that we regret as well.
Yeah, I never played a ton of those games, where you'd have like multiplayer aspects. So those streams are pretty few and far in between for me. But, modding for Hoosier, he played a lot of, Destiny, Fortnite, PUBG, things like that. And Rainbow Six, he actually killed Rainbow Six and Mixer for a long time.
Yeah, I played with them one time. The one and only time and actually on Xbox too. It wasn't even on PC. I got him to fire up the Xbox.
Yeah, he used to play Xbox exclusively. He still does to this day, play a lot of Xbox. But I remember one time he did like an open lobby, and he had like 120 person queue.
Oh my god!
Like towards the end of his lobby, and he was just like, I can't possibly get through this many people. Like, I cannot do open lobbies again because people were getting mad that they were so far down. He's like, how do you handle that situation, right?
Yeah, that's insane. 120 people queue. You'd have to stream maybe well into 6 hours. You're talking about 6 to 8 hour stream day at least.
Right, and then like switching from one group to the next, you gotta like open your lobby back up and send these invites out, and like God forbid they're just not there and don't accept the invite, and you're trying to wait for them. You don't want to be an asshole and just move on to the next person, but at the same time they're like holding up the stream. It's a big pain.
Yeah, that sounds like. I mean, I would go crazy if 120 person queue, and then also like you're responsible for what they say on the headset too. So we had like, of course, a couple people that ruined it for others. So it was just a bad call on our end, and we just we haven't done it since. Now I just do it with the play with the community and stuff like that. Obviously, that's been much better.
Yeah, I mean, live and learn. That's the way to go about it, right? And like you said, playing with the community, that's essentially what it was anyway. It's just back then you were trying to reach a larger audience, but now you probably just say, hey, we're playing this game, if you guys want to hop in, feel free and go for it, and then you get a full lobby, and if someone leaves, you pick up someone else that wants to play. You just don't rotate them out, which I think is good.
Yeah, I prefer to play with people in my community now and like people that I know. I'm more comfortable that way. I don't know if this happens in your stream, but viewers will come in and be like, oh, is this an open lobby? I say, well, come and hang out, join the Discord, talk, hang out with the community, and then you're more than welcome to join. I don't do it right off the bat, you coming in and being like, oh, hey, could I join?
Right, yeah, that's absolutely the way to go about it. I'm trying to think, even when I play like Call of Duty on Twitch, no one's really come in and like asked to play. It's a different mindset on Twitch. Like, I feel like there are some people who still probably do that, but on Mixer it was just like rampant. Especially if you played those types of games, everyone would just want to play with streamers at that time. Yeah,
and it was kind of, I don't know if you felt the same way, and I wanted to ask you too. We've had a couple, when Mixer was there at the time, when we had Mixer, we had a couple Mixer streamers on our podcast, and they said that they felt that Twitch was very toxic and they enjoyed Mixer more. Now, I know I had a lot of friends who were on Mixer when they shut down, and they kind of left them in a bad spot because they didn't necessarily like Twitch, and I get that. Not the Twitch isn't a platform for everybody, but when you initially made the switch from Mixer to Twitch, did you feel like, okay, this is home, like that's it, I'm not switching? I think I probably asked this, but did you have a feeling like, okay, this is home now?
Yeah, I mean, it took me one stream on Twitch before I just said, full send, we're getting off Mixer, we're going to Twitch. I mean, just everyone was so much more supportive in those directories of games that I played. So like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. I think I started streaming on Twitch the day the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC came out. I actually played through that on Twitch, and I met like new people, and it was cool, and they were talking, and I didn't get that experience on Mixer. So in terms of like the toxicness of Twitch, I never experienced that. I never streamed on Twitch beforehand, though. I feel like a lot of people who had streamed on Mixer also streamed on Twitch before, and maybe it was just a more toxic time for streams back then. But maybe it was the games I played versus what games other people played. I don't know, but I just never had that experience.
Yeah. Now, what's your overlay? I'm actually a huge fan of your overlay. What made you come up with the overlay with the desk? Like you kind of have like a little.
It's my network. You kind of cut out there, though.
Oh,
for me, Pat.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Sorry. No, what I was asking was about your overlay. I'm a big fan of your overlay. If you guys haven't seen it, Crypto, it's kind of like a desk overlay. Looks like you're hosting your own like show and stuff like that. You got like the little monitor. What made you come up with that idea?
Yeah, the office scene. So back on Mixer, I had a really good buddy, partnered streamer named Soy Sauce, and Soy Sauce had this scene that he had someone commission of him behind a bar. And he would do this bit all the time. It's like his just chatting screen, I'll say. And he would do this bit where he had this, bartender he'd called Jimmy, and he'd ask everyone, hey, what do you want to drink? Hey, Jimmy, get this man a margarita. And he would just do this bit, and he'd lean into it really good, and it was super funny. But I just liked the idea of the scene. Like I had a green screen, I could put me behind anything, and I was like, well, it'd be really cool to have an office scene, because I'm an IT professional. I work in a corporate building, so office was the first thing that came to mind. And I was like, we could have a monitor up there to show my desktop and stuff, and it'd be really cool. And so I actually reached out to the guy that made that scene for my buddy, and I was like, hey, here's my idea, can you do this? And he threw it together for me. So it's really cool. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it is awesome. I remember when I first popped into your stream, I was like, holy shit, that's an awesome. And actually, I actually thought you were sitting at a desk until you switched, until I saw your arm kind of go through. I was like, oh, okay, that's the overlay. I'm like, but it's a sick overlay. I mean, that's what kind of draws people to streaming too, right? What they can see, things like that. I think kind of having that setup draws to a stream as well.
Yeah, it's the small stuff like that kind of set you apart from different people, trying to capitalize and bring some new eyes in. It was a good idea. I've had it for a couple of years now, and it's been pretty good.
That's good. And we're kind of getting to the end of the podcast here. And again, Crypto, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us and having this conversation tonight. It was really awesome. Really appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I do have a quick question for you before we kind of wrap this up.
Absolutely.
So you had mentioned your podcasts are on all available podcast sites, and I'm assuming you get some sort of analytics from that. What's your best site for watching your podcast?
So we were using Anchor at the time, but we recently found out that Anchor was not giving the correct analytics. So right now we are in the process of looking and searching for a different website to kind of get the most accurate analytics. But right now, primarily, we're on all of them: iTunes, Google, Spotify, Pandora, stuff like that. But right now, I mostly just tell everyone to go to innermomsbasement.com. Pretty much right on our website, all the episodes are right there. So primarily, we're just in the search for a different website to kind of give us the correct analytics, because Anchor, I don't want to bash them or anything. I don't like to bash, but it just wasn't giving us the correct analytics. They were wrong.
That's fair. Do you guys put these up on YouTube at all too, as like kind of some standalone videos?
We did. We haven't in a little while, but we have at first. Our YouTube thing, YouTube's is tough,
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I don't know for you. For me, it's the editing. Like, I don't mind editing a 1-minute video for TikTok and throwing it up there because it's just quick 1-minute gameplay. But when I have to actually full on edit, like maybe an 8 to 10 or 15-minute video, it's straining. I'm doing it for 3 hours. Do you feel that way? Because I know you have YouTube as well.
I definitely did. I actually started commissioning out someone to handle my videos for me, because exactly what you said. With streaming and life and IRL, and it's, you add in like editing to that, and it's insane. And obviously you'll get quicker the better you get, but still that's a lot of time. Like you said, for a 5 to 10 minute video, you just edited for 2.5-3 hours over a day or two, probably, because you can't sit down and do something for that long, and then it's tough. I feel you there. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't enjoy it. I mean, I do enjoying seeing the content and going back and rewatching it again. That's a lot of fun. It's just the editing. The last question I did want to ask you, Crypto, what would be your best advice for a small streamer, or maybe even a streamer that's just getting into streaming? What would be your best advice for them?
Play games that you want, primarily. I know a lot of people play games because of viewership, and maybe that is your favorite game. Maybe your Call of Duty is your favorite game and you want a Warzone every day. If that's the case, then do it. But don't do it for 8 to 10 hours a day, and don't play games that you don't want to play. Right? So my biggest thing, it took me forever to find a lot of people who had my shared interests, and I think it's because I struggled playing games on Mixer for a bit. I would do this thing where I wanted to be variety, so I like switch. I played a new game every day. That was like my thing for a while, right? I was like, I want people to be here for me and not the game, so I had this strategy in my mind, like, all right, I'm going to play this new game every day, try and reach as much eyes as possible. And it's just, you kind of overthink. Just play games that you want to play, find people, get integrated with communities based around what you want to do, what games you like, get to know them, somehow make sure they know that you're streaming. I'm assuming by becoming friends, that'll come up in conversation. And then you have one person that comes to your stream, and you do that again, and you have 2 people. And then now you have a little bit of community, and you can branch out to their communities, and you kind of grow that way.
That's awesome, and we love to hear all of our guests' advice. We think that they all have great advice, and ourselves take the advice as well. So we appreciate that advice, Crypto.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and the Crypto, to close it out, did you want to let everyone know where they can find you, your socials and your Twitch? And guys, we'll put Crypto's Twitch into the chat if you're not following him. For our live audience here, I definitely would recommend giving him a follow. But go ahead, Crypto, let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, so it's CryptoHelix across all platforms: Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You'll primarily find me talking a lot on Twitter. You can catch me live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube, I'll put out some videos every once in a while, but like I said, it's a lot of time, so that's pretty few and far in between, maybe one a month. Nothing like, no daily uploads over here, but Twitter and Twitch is where you can catch me pretty consistently.
And again, we want to thank you for taking the time out to join us, guys. And you could listen to episode 67 across all podcasting platforms: iTunes, Google, Pandora, Spotify, or you can just go to innermomsbasement.com and have the episode there. Again, Crypto, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Absolutely, Pat. Thanks for having me.
And I can't wait to one day have a Black Ops happy hour. We got to get that going.
Yes, we will. I'll be ready.
All right, guys. Everyone have a wonderful night. And you guys stay safe. I'm going to go watch Justice League: The Snyder Cut. I don't know about you. What about you? Going to be checking that out?
You know, I'm interested in it. I haven't watched any of those movies, so I kind of want to do a little background research before I watch it. I also found out it's 4 hours long.
Yes.
That was news to me. So I gotta schedule off a whole Saturday night before I got time for that.
Yeah, so I'm about to go schedule 4 hours right now. All right, guys, take care. Thank you for coming to the Gamer Cave again, Crypto, and you have a wonderful night. Take care, everyone.
You've just listened to the
thanks,
Inner
man.
Mom's Basement, a video game podcast with your host Dan Giofue and Rage Quit Pat. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google Play. See you in the next episode.